Today we're going to make these incredibly delicious Reese's Pieces peanut butter cookies. Let me show you how I did it. Okay, we're going to start by, whoa, I swear that cat is never on the table like that. Please don't judge me for that. Okay, so we're going to start by getting out a few of our ingredients. The first thing we're going to need is 1.5 sticks of butter. And for me, I like to brown my butter whenever I'm making cookies, such as chocolate chip cookies. So I'm going to brown my butter. If you don't want to brown your butter, you can just leave it out and let it come to room temperature and move on to the next step. For me, we're going to brown this butter. Now, believe it or not, browning butter is pretty easy to do, and it only should take you about 8 minutes. So if you're new to this and you're kind of nervous and you want a guide, you can put your timer on for about 8 minutes. But you got to be careful though, because even though this is easy, it will burn really quickly when it's almost finished. Okay, so we got our butter cut into chunks. We got it into a stainless steel pan. We got it over medium heat, and we're going to start stirring this and stirring this and stirring this. Now, eventually you will see that butter start to become frothy and you will hear it start crackling. Don't panic. That's a good thing. Just keep stirring. And eventually all your hard work will pay off. You'll start to see brown speckles in the butter below, and you'll start to smell a nice nutty aroma. Once your butter starts to turn brown and you see it, immediately remove it from the heat. You're going to want to transfer it to a separate bowl, and we're going to let this cool completely all the way down to room temperature, and you will see it start to harden. So we'll take our brown butter and set it to the side until we need it. Okay, next get a large cutting board, and we're going to go over some of our ingredients. First ingredient we're going to go over is this Baker's semi-sweet chocolate bar, which we are going to rough chop into some pieces in a little bit. Next, we got the star of the show, if it will bother to unblur the Reese's Pieces. Of course, that's the star of the show. I love these things. And next, for some even more peanut butter flavor, we got the Reese's Pieces peanut butter chips. And of course, you don't have to use this brand of chocolate bar. This is just what I like to use. Also, you don't have to use the chocolate bar at all if you don't want to. You could just use regular chocolate chips. But for me, I like the way the chocolate melts when you chop up the chocolate chunks of chocolate from the chocolate bar. So I'm going to be using that. We'll get our chocolate chopped up and put into a bowl. We'll get our Reese's Pieces. We'll put that to the side. And then for our Reese's Pieces peanut butter chips, we're going to be using about half a cup of those. So we'll measure that out, and we'll put that to the side as well. Okay, time for some dry ingredients. We'll get a medium bowl, and to that, we're gonna add 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, nicely leveled and measured. And to that, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And last but not least, 1 teaspoon of table salt. I'm using pink Himalayan, but of course, you use what you got. We're gonna give all that a whisk, and then we're gonna set it to the side until we're ready to use it. Next, we'll break out our stand mixer, or your hand mixer, or your hand and a mixer. Use whatever you got. Okay, so to our mixing bowl, we're going to add our now hardened brown butter, along with 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar, 3/4 cup of firmly packed brown sugar, and a dash of vanilla extract. Load that into your stand mixer, and with your paddle attachment, we're going to mix this on medium speed for about 3 minutes. And once you got something nice and fluffy like this, we're going to scrape down the sides of our bowl and then move on to the next step, which is we're going to add 2 eggs, one at a time, beating well after the addition of each egg. After which, we're going to take our flour mixture and slowly, little by little, add that all in on medium-low speed until it is all fully incorporated. And finally, the time has come. Scrape down the sides of your bowl, scrape off your paddle attachment. Then we're going to take all our chocolates and our peanut butters. We're going to add that right into our stand mixer until it just barely combine, less than a minute. Next, get a cookie sheet, a cookie scoop, and start scooping these. And you can place these as close as you want for now, and here's why. After I'm done scooping all of my cookies, these are going into the fridge overnight so those flavors can develop even more. Now, you don't have to do this, but if you do, those cookies will be phenomenal. You could even keep these in the freezer for up to a month and just pop them into the oven anytime you want. And trust me, you will thank yourself for waiting. If you pop these into the freezer for like a day or two and just let those flavors mingle, let the flavors develop, you will be thanking yourself. And you'll be thanking me, so it's a win-win-win-win-win. Okay, it's officially the next day. We got our cookies out of the fridge. We got our oven set to 350. We're ready to bake these cookies into some deliciousness. So we got another cookie sheet lined with a nonstick mat, and we're gonna place a couple of cookies, not too many. You don't wanna overcrowd here because they're gonna spread out. So we got a couple of cookies on our mat, a couple of inches apart, and we're gonna bake this 350 degrees for about 14 to 15 minutes. Okay, so while our cookies are baking, we're gonna get out our Reese's Pieces, a couple of paper plates, and we're gonna start separating these candies. Now, you don't have to be as OCD as I'm being, but I figured, you know, I want at least one of each flavor in each of my cookies. So we're gonna go ahead and separate all of our little candy pieces. After about 14 minutes in the oven, your cookies should be done. Pull them out when they're nice and golden brown, and then immediately take those candy pieces that you just separated, and we're gonna start placing them right into our cookies while our cookies are nice and warm. Once all your candy pieces are in, let these sit on the baking tray for 5 minutes before removing them to a wire rack or a separate baking tray to cool completely. And that's it, our Reese's Pieces peanut butter cookies are done. These came out amazing. Let me tell you, you gotta make these. Anybody who's a fan of peanut butter and chocolate definitely has to make these cookies, guys. All right, that's it for me in this video. I'm out, stay safe and all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.